Hey guys, so a couple of days ago I did a breakdown video on an interview by J2 in the CW Upfront event where he talked about the show ending, how he came to that decision and all of that. I noticed throughout the interview, especially from Jared's side, that there seems to be hope from his side, at least not from Jensen's, that in the future they might want to come back and maybe do a limited series run, do a movie, whatever they may be thinking, but the end of the show may not be definitive. And a lot of people told me, well, no, it's ending for good. Don't give us hope, blah, blah, blah. And they're really like aggressive about it. Like, oh no, it is the end. We don't want to see it again. That was a really strange reaction I noticed. And I don't know why people are really opposed to any hope for our favorite series. Supposedly, it's not just my favorite series to come back in the future. It's a really like toxic reaction by some of the people in the comments. So I've just found this article by E! News, again a recent event, the same CW Upfront. They did an interview with Jensen, Jared and Misha, and they talked to them about the ending and all of that. This is a different source from the last one. That was a TV Insider interview I commented on. So that other interview by E! News gives more hints about the guys thinking about continuing the show in the future or maybe doing a movie or whatever. They're not specifying, but it gives hints that the show may not be ending for good after all. So we're gonna read some quotes from that article and talk about it. So here Misha says, as there was a moment when Jensen conveyed a dream he had about how the show ends. And basically to sum it up, Sam is dead and Dean is having to go off into the unknown on his own. When he conveyed that dream, he teared up, and then so did Jared, and then so did I. It was like, oh my god, we actually are crying about an imaginary character. But they became real to us, and so that's going to be hard. Again, I agree with Misha 100% here. I mean, we're watching imaginary characters on an imaginary show, TV show, but for us it's just more than TV show. Obviously, it's like life now. For 15 years we spent with that show, however long you've been watching the show. Not all of us started from day one. But the thing is, it just feels like it's been part of our lives for a long time. Even people who just started watching the show very recently and they just like binge watch the whole thing in a few months or even a year, they feel like the show is a big part of their lives now, and it's gonna be, really sad of it ending all of a sudden. And even though we have 1 year notice and all of that, it still feels sudden, like the show died or something, or the show has 1 year to live. Similar to how when Dean made a deal, to go to hell to resurrect Sam, and he had 1 year to live in season 3, and then he died at the end of season 3 and went to hell, then came back later in season 4. But the point is, it feels like that for me, at least, towards Supernatural, that, the show has 1 year to live, and we have 1 year to enjoy it and mourn it at the same time. Similarly to how Dean had 1 year to live to kind of be sad, hide his feelings from Sam, not tell him he's scared of going to hell, but he was just pretending like he's enjoying it, enjoying life for 1 year because it's the last year on Earth. So this feels very similarly to me about the show. So let's continue what the guys say and the big hints that the show may not be ending after all. So the article goes on to say, when season 15 wraps up, it may not be the end of the line for Sam, Dean and Castiel, depending who you ask. So let's see what they say one by one. Well, can there be a definitive on Supernatural? Padalecki asked. So again, the same guy, Jared Padalecki, who in an interview gave me the impressions that the show may not be ending after all. He goes on to once again confirms that by saying, well, can there be a definitive on Supernatural? No, because everyone can come back. We all know that. So even if it kills him off, so-called for good, there's nothing for good in Supernatural, so that doesn't even make sense. Even if they die and go to heaven at the end of the series, there's no reason why they wouldn't be brought back for whatever new mission or, holy missions they need to do to save the world or whatever. So Jared Padalecki echoes that once again here and echoes his own words in an interviews I've seen of him, especially the one I commented on a couple of days ago. So let's see what Jensen said and what Misha said. I was talking to him last night. I was like, I don't want to do the whole Game of Thrones thing where everything gets tied up all nice and neat. I'm like, let's just mess it all up, Ackles said. I don't think I want a definitive ending. We got to keep that. I think we keep that door cracked open for a feature in a few years. There's always ways to bring people back. That's Jensen Ackles there. The guy who I think he's the one who actually decided to end it, by next season. Misha and Jared seemed really more heartbroken about it. They seemed like they didn't want to make that decision. Jensen always seems the most cheery in all his interviews about it, and I've noticed a lot of you guys agree with me in the comments that Jensen seems to be the one who really decided to do it, and that Misha and Jared just had to follow along because there's no show without Jensen and Jared, at least. So it really surprised me that even Jensen makes it very clear here, his exact words. We gotta keep that, I think we keep that door cracked open for a feature in a few years. There's always ways to bring people back. So again, the so-called definitive ending, it's just the end, don't talk about hope, all of that from all those fans who are really like triggered by the fact that I'm saying there might be hope for the future. Jensen and Jared here confirm my thoughts that there is hope for the future, the show might come back, they might continue in a movie form, a feature, like he said, he's not clear about what he means by feature, but could just be a movie, limited series run, even like a short season in the future, a couple of seasons in a few years, just like he said. So this may not really be the end, the actual like final end of the series after all. I think it's just a stopping point, a big like stopping point, like Jared said in the interview I commented on. It's like giving credit to something that's been part of their lives for a long time. It's not, we decided to end it. He didn't say that. He said, well, it's time to give credit for something that was part of our lives for a long time. So again, I commented on this part a lot on the last video, so you should check that out for more details. But in this interview here by E! News, again, they reiterated the same words they said before, especially Jared. And even Jensen, a skeptical Jensen that seems like he's done, even him says they might come back in a few years. Misha disagrees with them. He goes in a different note. So let's see what Misha says. I would love to see a definitive ending. Personally, it feels like the show and audience deserves that, he said. Whatever happens to the Winchester brothers, Padalecki said, there will be no moment where Sam Winchester is truly gone from his life. And he goes on to say, it occurred to me that I don't ever could say goodbye to Sam Winchester, you know? He's been a part of my life for 14 years, about to be 15 years. He's part of me. I learned a lot from Sam. I learned a lot from Dean. Hopefully Sam learned something from Jared as well. I'll carry that character with me. I mean, 15 years of my life is a long time to be really indebted in somebody else's journey. So I'll carry him with me in some way, shape or form. So again, Misha kind of disagrees with Jensen and Jared on the show, having an open ending. He says, we should have a definitive ending, in his personal opinion. He might have less hope about a return in the future, or maybe he wants a definitive ending regardless if there's a return in the future or not. But he just seems like more closed about it than Jensen and Jared. Jensen and Jared agrees that they want an open ending, a door cracked open, like Jensen said, and it might be hope for the future. They might do a feature in a few years, Jensen's exact words in the interview. Misha seems more like he wants to close it off. Obviously, I don't agree with Misha. I would love an open ending, just like Jensen and Jared says. I think this would be a great idea if they want to take a break for a few years, come back after they rest, whatever. They make other movies or whatever, and they want to come back for a limited run for Supernatural, for even a movie. Obviously, I would love that, and all the fans of Supernatural who love the show would be open to that, and I would love that. They wouldn't just shut off all possibilities and, oh no, there's no hope, don't give us hope, blah blah blah. It's coming from the actors directly, so you can't deny it now. It's all still open, so you wanna keep it open. Obviously, we haven't found out what the ending will be yet. It's gonna spoil it to us. Even though Misha almost seems like he spoiled what he thinks he would like for the ending in the last interview I commented on, but still haven't written anything yet. So we might see Misha's ending, and it could still be open for return. We might see Jensen's ending with Sam dying and Dean going on his own, and it's really depressing and all of that. But that's still open for the future to bring Sam back somehow, because that is Supernatural after all. No one truly dies on Supernatural. So again, guys, another great interview here by E! News, confirming what I thought from another interview by TV Insider, is that there's still hope for the future of Supernatural, and season 15 may not be the actual final ending of the show after all. It might just be a big stopping point, a big break, maybe a few years they come back. That's what seems like from all the interviews I've read from the guys recently, especially this one and the last one by TV Insider. So let me know down below in the comments what you think. Do you think it's still open based on the guys' words? I think it's very obvious that it is. Let me know what you'd like to see for the future of the show if it does come back. Again, let me know what your thoughts down below in the comments. Subscribe for more awesome Supernatural content. Till next time, as always, no chick flick moments.
And to also ourselves leave wanting more, so I think
they want more too, especially Jared, apparently.
touch on what Jensen said. It was a separate. Well, we talked about it for years because for many years we didn't know whether we were going to come back or not. So it's like, how is this show as like objectively? What does this show mean to the fandom, to the writers, to the network, to the studio, to us, to the directors, producers, and actors and whatnot? And finally, kind of got to that point where we were like, well, I mean, something seems nice and poetic about 15 years, 327 episodes. Feels strong. Feels like the show has legs still. But as we know in Supernatural, nothing ever really dies.
Okay, here's another hint that is there a possible return in the future? Because Jensen said in his tweet when they announced the endings that, something along the lines of nothing really ends in Supernatural, Supernatural never dies, Winchester forever, #, all of that stuff. So that's another hint right there. Jared just said, let's watch this part again.
15 years, 327 episodes. Feels strong. Feels like the show has legs still. But as we know in Supernatural, nothing ever really dies.
That sounds like hope to me, unless it's just making an ongoing joke, cruel joke about Supernatural, nothing really ever ending on Supernatural. I mean, the boys always come back, everyone else, even side characters come back. Jared, first Jensen and now Jared hinted at the actual show maybe not dying forever and possibly come back. That's how I interpreted this line by Jared and, what Jensen said in that tweet when they announced the ending. So, I don't know, guys, do you agree with me? That sounds like hope to me. So, let me know what you think about this part after the video in the comments.